if people come into the country through legal means and they respect our liberal democracy and pay their taxes and they don't commit crime, why am I meant to care about like what
gotta assimilate? Assimilation means not feeling like if a bunch of Indians or a bunch of Somalis or people come here in a block, a huge amount, they're not going to assimilate. They're not going to see themselves as American. They're going to see themselves as Somali Americans. Well, I think like understanding. I mean, like you can look at it like American Hispanics have La Raza protests. The race is what La Raza means. They say that is an ethnocentric race protest. Like these groups are very racially aware, and in order for us to assimilate them correctly, we need to bring just super high skill, like Woody and I have said, and they need to be made to assimilate. And part of assimilation means if you move here and you're Indian and you're high skill, you don't just hire Indians.
Have to marry a white person.
You have to marry a white lady. You must.
Would that solve the whole thing? Actually, we would have so many more applicants. Yes, sign me up.
I love Bob's and Virgin.
Have you ever seen a white woman just try to exist in India?
Sorry,
are you principally opposed to like St. Patrick's Day?
No. Yes, I am.
But what's
get the fuck out of here with that?
But what's the difference between like something like St. Patrick's Day and somebody saying La Raza?
I think that's a ludicrous comparison, but
the fair comparison is Cinco de Mayo and St. Patrick's Day, first of all, because the St. Patrick's guys are drinking green beer and dressing up like leprechauns and hanging up hijinks, and the brown people are screaming our race, like and burning cars, and usually wearing a mask. That's kind of scary to me.
It's very different, but also like no, I don't think we are. I think
we are.
I don't think so.
You've never seen a St. Patrick's Day parade. People intimidate a brown person.
People make intense efforts to get to the United States because they fucking love America. I mean, like
no, they don't.
A lot of them come here because they want economic benefit. It's not because they love.
I don't think they come here because of our welfare system. I think they come here because of our opportunity. And I think the hell thing is an example of that. Like they're not on a welfare system. It's an opportunity based thing. And also the assimilation, I give them a pass because I think it's their kids who get assimilated. If I went to France, I'd probably be American till I died, but my kids would be French. Well, this is pretending I was younger. And that's like kind of how I see it. I have a friend, he's pretty Chinese. He calls himself a banana because he's yellow on the outside, but he's white on the inside. I guess that's a thing that
I got a couple Asians who say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So to me, it's like, so these Somalians who came here in the last 15 years seem really Somalian right now. Sure, I get that. But I bet their kids have an accent that's indistinguishable from everyone else at school.
Well, Somalia is a totally different story. I don't think any number of Somalians benefits America. Yeah, the average IQ of Somalia is like 68. It's crazy. Like we don't need Somalis here. They're not productive. They're taking much more than they provide.
I want those people.
I don't know that we can generalize like that.
What percentage of Somalis can read, Hutch?
I bet the percentage of Somalian Americans that can read is close to 100. And I think it's important to remember that
little mutilation on Earth.
When people immigrate here, it's like the self-selecting cream of the crop. It's the ambitious people who uproot everything about themselves in chasing opportunity. So in general, the people that immigrant are often the better ones.
I disagree with that. I agree with the ideal perspective you have. I have the same belief that if we're going to bring immigrants in, it better be a fucking genius. Like it better be someone fantastic.
If we're going to, I was coughing. If we're going to bring what?
If we're going to bring immigrants in, they need to be fantastic. They need to be $300,000 a year people. What harms us is when we bring in entire ethnic enclaves and put them in somewhere localized like Minneapolis of a bunch of Somalis. And then now, what's the incentive to become American when all of your neighbors are still Somali? Like there's no incentive. And these people also disproportionately take huge amounts from the government. And so it's just fiscally not good for our country. like to import dependent populations. We want the winners. We want the elite. We want the tippity top. I don't care if they come from India or China or wherever. We want the tippity top. We don't want dependent people.
Pitch to Hutch. Hutch, I've had this idea. And my politics are closer to yours than to Taylor's, but I've often thought that countries like America are strong when they're more like homogeneous, right? I'd rather have a melting pot than a salad, is an argument that I've heard made. And when people come in and create Chinatown or Little Italy or whatever it is, and they don't, sort of blend into the rest of the country, then I feel like we have a country that has the potential to get divided. And, I take Iraq, right, where they had like 3 different religions and they kind of considered themselves different than the other people in that country. It makes them more prone to a civil war. Take Yugoslavia, right? Sure. I don't know what makes a Croatian so different than a Serbian, but they see themselves as different and it makes it more prone to a civil war. Whereas if we have a real melting pot, right? And I'm more than happy to take a Somalian in and melt them into the rest of America. But that doesn't happen when you create Chinatown. How would you feel if immigration policy considered density when people were choosing which part of America they moved to?
Can you ask that question again? Sorry, what do you exactly
so by
asking
density, what I was trying to say is, like, let's say an Indian wanted to move to a place where there's Little India, and they're like, no, Little India is full. We need to put this Indian in Minnesota,
Nebraska,
where there's not so many of them. Nebraska, right? So you need to go to Nebraska because we want to make sure that we have a melting pot, and we can't put you in Little India. Do you like this idea, or tell me what's wrong with it?
I mean, my experience, I've lived in Los Angeles for a good chunk of my life, and obviously this is very, very ethnically diverse. But I mean, California is wildly diverse, and we're the 4th largest economy in the world. I mean, that we've become this incredibly multi-ethnic country, and look at us. We are the richest, most prosperous, most powerful country in the history of nations. So like, it just doesn't bother me. Like,
that's true.
Like, none of that.
All that's true. And I bow down to the California supremacy. I've looked at the figures and it's mind blowing. My only question would be, and I don't know the answer to it. If you took Silicon Valley out of the equation, where would California be then? Would they be a middling state, or was that just a cherry off the top of their global economic supremacy? Because they're like,
doesn't that make my point for me, though?
7th largest economy on the planet.
Oh no, doesn't
that make my point for me, though? Because I thought there were a ton of immigrants that are fueling Silicon Valley.
Sure,
that's true.
But I think the originators are a bunch of white guys in garages, though, that found it.
I think Silicon Valley has a significant immigrant working population.
Now it does.
So like, that feels like you're making my point for me. I mean, like, I'm not seeing the downside.
There will be a downside
about, like,
eventually,
the economy of California.
They will, like,
before Silicon Valley, I think they were a huge defense contracting state. And I'm not positive I'm right on this, but I always thought that when the Cold War ended and the California military contractors needed to pivot, Silicon Valley was created. Does that sound right to anyone else?
I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know. I always just know, I know San Diego is that massive naval port that everything kind of flows through, and like training grounds and all sorts of stuff.
This is going to be nothing.
I just want to say, I do think, Taylor, you underestimate how fucking patriotic like immigrants, the median immigrant is. Like, these people oftentimes are, especially when we're talking about Spanish speaking countries. We were just talking about Venezuela, people fleeing Venezuela, people fleeing Cuba. By the time they get here, I mean, like, you have a huge Cuban population in Florida that are super pro Trump.
I don't want to miss.
I'm super pro Cuban.
If you're an immigrant and you're assimilating and you love America and if you're from Honduras and you move here and you love America and you enjoy the opportunity and you no longer see yourself as a Honduras American, you're just an American. You're not going to form a Honduras American group to try and get special ethnic privileges. Like, then you're just as American as anyone. Like, that's totally fine.
But we have like Italian American groups, and that doesn't really bother people, right?
I don't care for that.
Powerless retards, and I don't like that either. You shouldn't be Italian American. You should just be fucking American. Assimilate.
People wish they were white so bad.
Culture, become waspy, and then go to work and pay taxes.
in the Northeast, where I grew up, people identify as their like ethnicity so much more than they do in the rest of the country, as far as I can tell. Like,
do that here.
yeah. Like if you were growing up in New Jersey, I think you'd very much identify strongly with your Italian background. But and I don't know, it always seemed like they were American first and Italian second, and that's all.
That's a fucking patriot right there. This is what I want. Only Arnold Schwarzenegger level imports. Okay, this guy was a millionaire when he came over here. He was already running multiple businesses, bodybuilding, selling some workout equipment, investing in real estate. Look at that. You think he's not proud to be an American?
That's proud to be an American.
You can't just buy that. It's in his size.
That used to have sleeves on it, but he was too jacked.
You can't have a shrinking population either. We need to bring the right amount of people. But I kind of feel like we could be recruiting like a sports team and trying to get what America needs, whatever that is.
It should be. We should be recruiting like a sports team where it's like there's an elite genius in Syria. Bring them.
Why would they want to come
to so many geniuses?